It all has to go. What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Horticulture Geek. I'm Ray. Welcome to the garden today. Today is going to be an interesting day. It's a day I have been dreading, but that I cannot put off anymore because all of the vegetables have to go. They are out of here. This has been the weirdest year here in the garden for crops. The flowers are all doing fine, but as far as my vegetables, I've just had issue after issue. So let's walk around the garden and I'm gonna point out what's going on and show you how everything's looking, tell you what happened to it all. And then I got to pull it all out so that we can stop perpetuating the problems that we have here in the garden this year. And let me tell you, it has been like biblical plagues here in the Horticulture Geek garden. It has been an absolute mess. So let's flip the camera around and show you what I'm dealing with. All right, so we're right here in the first section of vegetable area. And you can see that there's a definite lack of squash and zucchini. So unfortunately, despite my best efforts, the squash bugs found these plants and they have already been pulled out. I had to get them out of here. They were beyond bad. I have celery right here, and this end of the celery is doing fairly well. This end is just terrible. This plant has got to be pulled out. It's rotted. Something got in on it. I don't even know what got in on it. And I think it was so smothered out by the zucchini vine that it never really had a good chance. So I'm probably gonna leave. This celery's got to come out and this one has to come out. This one can stay and these can stay for the time being so we can see what's going on. Here is my peppers section, and I've got my bell pepper down there, which never grew. I've fertilized it, I've messed with it, and it just absolutely never grew. Now, I'm not gonna rip it out, but it's weird that that thing never grew. The gypsy peppers and the jalapeno peppers are doing fantastic. I've gotten bumper crops off of the jalapenos. They're doing really well. Next up here is my tomato. This is a paste tomato. And as you can see, I mean, I've got a little bit of damage here just from summer heat and scorch. We always get that here in the South. But otherwise, it is a beautiful tomato plant. It's got blooms. Oh, and here's a baby tomato right there. But what you'll notice is that outside of those little baby tomatoes, there is absolutely nothing on this tomato vine. That is because I have had a field rat. Yes, that's right, folks. A field rat discovered this plant. And as soon as those tomatoes get of any size, he sneaks in at night, pulls them off the vine, and takes them back to his home. And I have tried everything. I've put out deterrents, I've put out essential oils, I've put out baits, I've put out traps, and this guy, and I've actually seen him, so I know it is a rat. I know I've heard some people say, oh, it may be squirrels, because squirrels will tend to do that sometimes, but this is actually a rat. It is a field rat that comes up. There's some uncared for houses that way and some other stuff down the road, and so he comes up, sneaks into the garden, and he's eating my tomatoes. And I've been battling it and trying to let it survive, but at this point all I'm doing is feeding this guy. None of my attempts to sway him from coming have worked, so I have got to stop feeding him so that if he loses his food source, hopefully he will move on and stop visiting my garden. So the tomato plant has got to come out. Now we're gonna walk down here, and you can see already there's an issue that we're walking onto right here. This is green beans, or what's left of green beans. Some of you that have been with the channel for a while saw the video where we put the cattle panel trellises up. I was very excited about that. I had this all set up this year. And these green beans, let me move so my shadow's not in the picture so bad. These green beans came out wonderfully and strong. And you can see the vines are covering the cattle panel. They're going over the fence. And they were thick and lush, and they were flowering. They were getting ready to set a good green bean crop. And about 2.5 weeks ago, I started noticing some nibbling on the leaves. And I started treating at that point, and I have used several different pesticide treatments, I'll be perfectly honest, to try to get the critters off, and nothing worked. And so this is locust and Japanese beetles. They have just decimated my green beans. So all these vines are useless at this point. The few leaves that you see left on there, I mean, we're past the point of return on this. There's no way these vines are going to recover enough to put out any green beans. So at this point, all of this has to be pulled out and cleaned up. And the grasshoppers did not stop there. So you can see I've got some corn planted here. And the grasshoppers have completely eaten all of the pollen heads off of every single ear of corn. And then they came down to the corn themselves that were forming, and they got it. So they got in and they ate all the silks out of all the baby corn heads. I mean, just gone. So at this point, even if new corn heads were going to form or push out new silks, there's absolutely nothing to pollinate those silks, which means good, thick, healthy corn kernels would not form. So the corn has got to come out as well. And then that brings me over here to my cucumbers. I did get lots of good cucumbers off of these vines until cucumber beetles got into my cucumber vines. And if we get down in here, you can kind of see how I tried to save them. They've been chewed up. Cucumber beetles got in. They were boring through. And there's a big split up in here where they just got so sick. And they started to heal. They started to do better. But then the dead heat of the south with the humidity set in on them. And they started to get powdery mildew. I have tried to treat the powdery mildew. I've put systemic pesticides on the plants to heal them up. I fertilized them. But again, at this point, the plants were too stressed to do anything. And so I don't want to leave powdery mildew and death hanging out in the garden. So at this point, the cucumbers also have to go. So guys, as you can see, I've got some work to do here in the garden, and I wanted to bring you along on this video to show you that even though some people have a horticulture degree, even though you may have 20, 30, 40 years of gardening experience, don't let other people's qualifications scare you from gardening, because we all have bad years. So beginning gardeners, newbie gardeners, I'm talking to you. So don't let gardening discourage you. Don't be nervous about it. And if you have a bad year, you just have a bad year. Learn from it, roll with the punches, and get back out there and try it again. So I could absolutely get frustrated and discouraged with this horrible crop that I've had this year and throw my hands up in the air and say, never again, I'm not doing this. What a waste of time, what a waste of money. But I've grown all these things before really successfully. I've had bumper cucumber crops from year to year. I've grown green beans successfully. I've, had squash plants perform for me. You never know what you're gonna get from year to year. So if you are in the boat right now of having a terrible crop year or a terrible flower year or a terrible insert thing here year, don't let it frustrates you, don't beat yourself up. You absolutely can recover. You can do this. So I hope you have enjoyed this quick walk through the garden with me, seeing all the troubles I'm having. I've got a lot of work to do tonight to get all this stuff cleaned up and out of the way, so that hopefully when I do my August garden tour, you will see that all this stuff is gone and we can just start fresh. So that's where I'm at here at the Horticulture Geek Garden. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And also check us out on our Facebook page by the same name, Horticulture Geek. And because you follow along, subscribe to the channel if for some reason you're not subscribed, and you will get notified every time we post a new video. So hopefully you're enjoying the content, you're enjoying what we have to offer here at Horticulture Geek. And until next time, from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.